A pleasant day to each and every one of us. First of all, I would like to introduce ourselves. I'm Marites Magtibay together with my group mates, Miss Jeanette Kuya, Miss Alwen Inero, Mr. Joseph Bere, and Mr. Arman Murillo. And we are the Group 4 from BSBA HRM1. And today, we are going to present our topic about Filipinos working abroad, the positive and negative effects on the Philippines. So what are we waiting for? Let's begin! So I will be your first presenter, and I would like to begin with my first point. An overseas Filipino is a term used to refer to a person of Filipino origin who resides outside the Philippines. This term applies to Filipinos who are abroad as permanent resident in a different country, as well as to those who are abroad for a limited period for employment or education. Meaning to say, overseas Filipino nowadays considered as our modern hero, mainly because they sacrifice themselves just to provide what their family need, especially when it comes to financial aspect. So we consider them as the immigrant from our country, and in which emigration is a powerful force in the Philippines. Like millions of Filipinos have moved away. Through emigration, it directly shapes the Philippine economy, workforce, and society. Many Filipinos move abroad seeking economic opportunity, and when they find it, they often send money back to their families. Like for example, I do have aunties and cousins abroad, especially during this pandemic wherein we face many financial difficulties, and working abroad is one of their solution to the problem itself, since working abroad or working in other country has a high salary than we have here in our country. So to continue, according to the International Labor Organization, there are approximately 11 million Filipinos overseas. So based on the data I gathered, as of 2015, about 10% of the population was living outside of the country. Thus, this massive exodus has major consequences, not only for those who live but also for those people who left behind. Remittances sent by OFWs accounted for 11% of the total GDP of the country in 2018. The Philippines is one of the top 5 economies in the world that benefit the most from remittances. So when we say remittances, it talks about the financial transactions that are essential of building the blocks of our Philippine economy, accounting for nearly 11% of the country's GDP. So people who receive remittances often make critical investments with that money, like buying food, housing, and education. So this steady flow of foreign money acts as form of insurance to help people weather regional and domestic financial crises. But sometimes, if the value of money drops, like yung currency niya nag-drop, it reduces the benefit from the remittances. So as we can see on the graph, that shows the steady rise from 28 billion in 2014 to 34 billion in 2018. The Philippines is the 4th highest recipient of remittances after India, which has 79 billion, China 67 billion, and Mexico 36 billion according to World Bank. So in the second image, we can see that statistically, men go to the Middle East for construction, mining, and other oil-related jobs, while the women tend to go to Southeast and East Asia for domestic jobs, while sa North America naman, OFWs work in professional jobs like nursing, doctors, and others. So, according to Philippine Statistics Authority, Saudi Arabia is the most preferred country for OFWs to work, 25.4%, and others being UAE, Kuwait, Hong Kong, and Qatar. So from that, we can see that women tend to go to abroad than men. Sometimes, not only because of financial aspects or financial problems, but rather because of unhappy marriage or abusive marriage, and they want to escape, mainly because they are unable to file a divorce. That's why working abroad is one of their reasons to escape. Thus, it disrupts traditional family dynamics, since many of our Filipino children can miss out on parental guidance and support. But despite of that, we should acknowledge all of our OFWs, since the movement abroad shapes life back home. So that's the end of my discussion, and let's welcome our second reporter.
The effect of international remittances on the Philippine economy. both in the short run and in the long run using a standard co-integration method. So, the result of the analysis show that remittances have positive significant effect on the Philippine economy in the long run. This translates to a 0.018% increase in the economy's gross domestic product when the remittances sent by overseas workers to the Philippines increases by 1%. However, in the short run, remittances negatively affect the economy's output, which implies that an increase in remittances sent to the country is associated with a decline in the economy's output within our country. A regional consultative process for migration in Asia. It investigates the impending changes in the demand for skills in countries of destinations, how such changes will affect migration processes, and whether countries of origin are ready for the changes. It provides recommendations on how regional consultative processes can foster dialogue between key actors from both country of origin and destination to better navigate future changes and ensures a smooth transition. The SMC and the Commission on Filipinos Overseas, with support from the National Economic and Development Authority, hosted the reports in Manila. Policymakers from several ministries were present. The report examines how migration affects key policy sectors in the Philippines, particularly the labor market, agriculture, and investment and financial services. It also analyzes how sectoral policies influence different migration outcomes such as decision to immigrate and return and remittances patterns.
So at this point, tatalakayin naman natin yung mga research o pag-aaral tungkol sa mga OFW workers in abroad. So according to IPPMD or Interrelation between Public Policies, Migration and Development in the Philippines is the result of 4 years of fieldwork, empirical analysis, and policy dialogue. In all, 1 to 999 households representing about 10 to 500 individuals and 37 communities were interviewed during this ambitious study. So, IPPMD is a study case. So, nag-focus nga sila dun sa mga Filipino na nagtatrabaho in abroad. So, katulong nila dito yung European Union sa pag-oorganisa nitong interview na ito. According to the POEA or the Philippine Overseas Employment Administration, in 2010, the total number of deployed overseas Filipino workers, both land-based and sea-based, was close to 1.5 million Filipinos. So, ganun kadami yung mga Filipino na nagtatrabaho sa abroad nung time na yon, or yung nakapag-decide na gusto nilang makapagtrabaho sa abroad nung time na yon. And the estimate global stock of overseas Filipino as of 2009 was over 8.5 million. So, ganun karami rin yung pera na ambag nila or naibigay nila dun sa ating bansa pagkatapos ng mga Filipino na mag-decide na magtrabaho nga sila abroad. At siya nga pala, yung POEA, sila yung mga tumutulong sa mga Filipino para makapagtrabaho sa abroad, para maiwasan yung illegal recruiter. So yung POEA, sila yung nakikipag-dialogo or nakikipag-communicate sa ibang bansa para magkaroon or mabigyan sila ng mga trabahong kinakailangan na ina-applyan naman ng mga kababayan nating Filipino para makapagtrabaho at para nga rin makapag-provide ng mga pangangailangan ng kanilang bawat pamilya. So, after nga na dumami yung mga Filipino workers in abroad at dumami rin yung mga pera na pumapasok sa Pilipinas dahil nga nagre-remittance, kasunod din ito ang pagtaas ng ating ekonomiya. According to the World Bank, the Philippines is reputed to be the world's 4th highest remittance recipient country, next only to India, China, and Mexico. So, ganun kaganda yung naging impact ng pagtatrabaho ng mga Pilipino in abroad. Kasabay ng pagtaas ng mga Pilipino na nagtrabaho sa abroad or nagtatrabaho sa abroad, kasabay rin nito ang surge in remittance has continued to fuel strong domestic demand for consumption goods, boosted the peso, ibig sabihin tumaas yung palitan ng pera, alleviated the international debt burden, nakatulong din ito sa ibang bansa upang maibsan yung kanilang mga kinakaharap na kakulangan sa manpower, and increase foreign exchange reserve and contributed in general to the better picture of the economy. So, ibig sabihin, pagkatapos nga nung maraming Filipino na ang nag-decide na magtrabaho sa abroad, natugunan din ito yung kakulangan ng ekonomiya hindi lang dito sa ating bansa, kundi din sa ibang bansa. So, parang dito sa research na to, sinasabi nila na kung magtutuloy-tuloy pa ito, ay nakikita nila sa future na yung ekonomiya ay tataas pa at mas mapapabuti pa yung ating pamumuhay.
Ang migration ay maaaring magkaroon ng positibo at negatibong epekto for both country losing migrants and their country gaining immigrants. The positive are such that migration brings people into contact with entirely new ways of life. Developing countries benefit from remittance that now often outstrip foreign aid. The first obvious gain is the migrants may earn much higher incomes abroad than what they could earn doing similar jobs at home. Ang pagtaas ng kita ng mga migrant ay maaari rin magdulot ng makabuluhang pag-unlad sa kanilang buhay. Sa tuwing makakita nga tayo o makabalita na may mag-a-abroad, parati nating nasasabi na giginhawa na ang kanilang buhay, which is there is a big possibilities that it can be happen. Pero sino nga ba ang totoong mas nakikinabang? It is our country or the family itself? Una, ay ang pagkakaroon ng Pilipinas na tinatawag na remittance na nagagaling naman sa mga taong nagtatrabaho abroad all over the world. So, ano nga ba ang epekto nito sa bansa? Ang pagkakaroon ng tax sa bawat remittance na natatanggap ng Pilipinas ay makakatulong sa mabilis na pag-unlad ng bansa. Ang tax ay isang sapilitan na singil o ilang iba pang uri ng lebe na ipinataw sa isang nagbabayad ng buwis. So, next is makikilala ang ating bansa sa pinanggagalingan ng mga masisipag at magagaling na mga manggagawa, which is true. Particularly when it comes to caregivers, because Filipino are hospitable, they can easily know how to taking care of their role. And next, matutubunan din ito ang kakulungan ng trabaho sa ating bansa. At sa kasabay ng pag-unlad ng ating ekonomiya ay ang pag-unlad din nito sa kanilang pamumuhay ng kanilang pamilya. Ang pangangailang material ay matutugunan na rin at lalong-lalo na ang pangangailangang medical ng bawat isang kasapi ng pamilya. Bukod pa rito, sa pagkakakitaan ng mga individual na migrante at kanilang pamilya, ang migration ay mayroon ding mas malawak na positibong epekto para sa mga bansang pinagmulan ng mga migrante. Maaring bawasan ng pangingibang bayan ang kawalan ng mga trabaho, may impluwensyahan ang pagbabawas ng kahirapan at humantong sa mas malawak na pag-unlad ng ekonomiya at panlipunan sa bansang pinagmulan sa magkakaibang paraan.
Good afternoon everyone. I'm Arman Joshua S. Murillo and I'm about to report the negative effect of Filipino worker abroad here in Philippines. The remittance is significant, resulting to 10% to our country's GDP or gross domestic product. The IPPMD or interrelations between public policies, migration and development, data and analysis, the income is almost invested in education only. According to IPPMD, Philippines and migration, halimbawa, mga OFWs can contribute to the economy. Dahil sa kanilang remittances na nakakadagdag sa GDP ng bansa, as well as to the social development, in order to maintain the migration, there should be implementation ng mga policies kung saan masisecure yung contribution ng mga migrants, both the Philippines at sa mga bansa na kanilang pupuntahan. Yes, may contribution ang mga remittance sa peso appreciation, which means reduces the amount of peso needed to buy foreign exchange, to pay interest and maturing obligations. Pero ang sabi, hindi nito pinabababa ang economic growth compared to other countries that suffer from disease. Pinataas din ng remittances ang consumption and per capita income levels na nakatutulong upang bumaba ang rate ng poverty at inequality. Ngunit hindi ito directly nabibigyan ng impact or nakaka-apekto sa economic growth.
So we, therefore, conclude the Philippine migration has both a positive and negative aspect. It has already been mentioned that remittance sent back to the country strongly contribute to the economy as well as help ease unemployment and underemployment. However, there are also the social costs of migration both for the migrants and the family they leave behind. Among these is the breakdown of relationship between spouse as with parents and their children. So with many stakeholders like their families, the local and national government, and the charges come together in the migration issue. The migration experience and result could be optimized for all actors, especially for the migrants and their families.